In this exercise, I'm going to talk about how users can bring in their own information to tell a story within the Business Analyst tool. From the Maps tab, you'll see that there's an option to add data to the map. I'm interested in importing a file that I have some data on that I'll show you in just a moment. The data in question is Chicago office locations, and it's called suitability analysis. Now, I have the addresses of these locations, and I also have some additional data points in the Excel file that I'm interested in viewing on the map. I have the point location data, so I'm going to use that to see the information visualized. Now, I'm interested in creating these study areas based on 5-minute drive times. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. While the content is actually saving, I'm going to go into the spreadsheet and show you exactly what it looks like. Here you can see that I have 6 different addresses of offices in the Chicago submarket. Here you can see submarket occupancy rate, as well as asking rent data. Now, this is data that I've gotten from other resources that I'm interested in viewing as part of the equation for my decision-making analysis. If I look at the study areas, you can see that they're spread out across Chicago. But what I'm interested in doing is using what's called a suitability analysis to help tell my story. Now, I've created the 5-minute drive times, and if I was interested in looking at demographic variables that are available from Esri, I could do that. I could choose population, or income, or business, or education, or lifestyle data, but I'm not interested in any of that in this case. I'm interested in the data that comes in from the spreadsheet that I've actually brought in. The information that I'm interested in looking at is asking rent and submarket occupancy rate. Now, based on the map that I've created, we can see that the site at 55 East Erie Street scores the best. But how is the score actually determined? It's determined based on a 50-50% weighting between submarket occupancy rate, where higher is better, so a positive influence, and in asking rent, again, where higher is better. But keep in mind that there's other options that you have for your suitability analysis. You could use data from the data browser or Esri's data. You could also use other influences. For example, what if I decided that I was trying to find the place with the lowest submarket occupancy rate? In this case, I'd be looking for the inverse, so a number where the lower number is better. Or there could be an ideal. Let's say on the asking rent, I'm interested in an asking rent somewhere in the neighborhood of $25. As I make those changes to create an ideal asking rent of around $25, you can see that my sites are going to change in accordance to how close it is to $25. What if I determine that submarket occupancy rate isn't that important to me? I could get rid of that, and I could choose to look entirely based on asking rent. In that case, the 55 East Erie site is the best. If I decided that I didn't want to look at asking rent, and I was only interested in looking at the data for submarket occupancy rate, the submarket with the highest occupancy, which is the site at North Sheridan Road, would score the best. Now, keep in mind that you can use any kind of data that you're interested in using in a suitability analysis. I see people use things like square footage, property value, asking rent, or just a couple of the different options that you have for determining what kind of information that you think is important and including in a suitability analysis.